both can stand.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah.
a suggestion, but
Yeah, but it's true. Like,
okay. Without telling secrets.
Recording in progress.
Please take your seat. We are gonna start in some minutes. Happy birthday. Um, so we are going to start the first session, the secret ingredient, the SchoolFood4Change triple approach and results. We eat at the schools. That sounds obvious, but think about what it actually means. For many children across Europe, the school meal is the most nutritious meal of the day. It's where food habits form, where children first encounter vegetables they have never seen at home sometimes, and where a cook's decision about what goes into the menu ripples out across a generation. SchoolFood4Change has spent 4 years, at least, asking a deceptively simple question: what would happen if we took school food seriously, not just as a catering operation, but as a lever of public health, environmental sustainability, and education all at once? The answer is what the SchoolFood4Change team calls the triple approach, a holistic approach to school food culture, planetary health diets brought to life through cooking, and sustainable public food procurement for school canteens. 3 elements that separately each face formidable barriers, but together they reinforce each other in ways that make change more durable. This session brings together project managers, researchers, city officials, and cooks that have been doing this work in real schools, real kitchens, and real municipal procurement offices. We are going to hear what worked, what didn't, and crucially, how it actually worked. So we have here a Mentimeter, if you can put the slide, maybe. In any case, you have this Mentimeter when they put it as a slide to ask questions whenever you want, and we will take some of them at the end of the session. To set the scene, I will pass the floor to Amalia Ochoa, a SchoolFood4Change project coordinator at ICLEI Europe, and Alberta Congeduti from Fondazione Ecosistemi, who will walk us through the key results from these past years. So you have around 15 minutes. This is the Mentimeter, as I was mentioning, so you can connect and ask questions through there. So please, come ahead.
Thanks, Paula, and especially a very, very, very big thank you to Fondazione Ecosistemi for this amazing event. You're organizing it every year, and every year it's amazing, and we would not be here in Rome without you. You've also organized this very long session on school meals, and we would like to thank you again for that. I'm really honored to be here today to try to set a bit the scene of what we've been doing the last 4.5 years in SchoolFood4Change, present a few highlights. Paula already mentioned a little bit about our approach, and we're going to hear a lot about different stories of what worked, going into more details speaker by speaker, session by session, and then talk about some of our dreams of where we should go in the future. So we've been doing a lot of work to make school meals about much more than simply providing food. I have to say, and it's not just because this is a conference on public procurement, but one of our main levers in all this work has been to utilize and maximize the value of taxpayers' money spent on feeding children during lunch times at school. The fact of the matter is that all children go to school. If you count those up to the age of 16 in the EU, this amounts to 56 million children. And if we include tertiary education, the figure is almost double. In Europe, our cities, towns, regions, they are responsible for our schools. The meals they deliver, we think, are and they should be, incredibly important. They are feeding toddlers in daycare centres and preschoolers who are just starting their lives and discovering their first foods. They are feeding primary school children that are learning to read, write, and develop confidence. And they go on to sustain young people through adolescence, helping them concentrate, play sport, thrive, and build the foundations for healthy and productive futures. This means that school meals, they are not just about nutrition. They are about health, education, inclusion, well-being, and giving every child the best possible start in life. In Europe, public authorities, they are serving billions of meals every year. This is not just schools, but also hospitals and other public institutions. This amounts to billions of euros. This means that public procurement is far more than an administrative tool. It is a powerful lever. Using it strategically, and that's the key word for me, it can shape health, sustainability, local economies, and the quality of people's lives. And now, and now this is where School Food for Change comes into the picture. This is actually our slogan, small plate, big impact. And here, when we came up with the whole approach, we asked ourselves, how can we make school food a big win all round? The answer is by placing the right health and sustainability requirements on the food served in schools. The small plate can provide big additional wins for children, for families, for producers, for farmers, the wider community. And as you see, we have many SDGs. How do we fit them all on the one plate? Well, we have to really take here a very holistic view, involving all the right people from the start to create a good, healthy food culture at school is the way to help create an environment that enables school food to be more than just about feeding and calories. It's about giving children an understanding of where their food is from. It's about culture and diversity. We heard it in the session before from Dordogne. It's about understanding what a healthy meal is. It is about conviviality. It's about learning life skills like cooking. And this holistic approach, we broke it down into an on-the-ground integrated approach, which is split into 3 pillars. The triple impact approach, we call it, for cities and schools to use and follow and adapt to their context. These 3 pillars address systemic issues or gaps in food systems. The first I've talked about already quite a bit. It's sustainable food procurement. This is really, really concrete. Basically, when these tenders are won, there's good food on the plate. The second, School Food for Change is about the menus, and most of all about the chefs and kitchen teams in school canteens. Often, these are the largest restaurants in town. This is about boosting the cooks' skills and kitchen teams they have been taught by experts about how to prepare delicious school meals that children will actually eat. All of this in line with planetary health diet. And here you can also see some familiar faces maybe. The kitchen teams in the end become ambassadors of a healthy and sustainable meal. And third, we're talking about more than feeding children. Here we're talking about food cultures, learning about healthy eating, cooking fresh food from the region, in season, homegrown, school children visiting farms, growing food in school gardens, changing the offer of food around schools. In short, we're talking about the whole school food approach. And we started already fairly big, but here you can see how big we've grown. We were 16, 18 cities, if you include 2 national networks, across 12 countries. As you can see, even we had places right at the south of Australia, following us, getting in touch, engaging with the whole approach. And now I'm going to get into a little bit more about these figures. So we started with 18 cities and regions, 12 countries. We've grown to 35 local and regional governments, different types of cities, small, medium, large, in 22 countries across the world, implementing the approach in their schools and daycares. They are reaching over 3,800 schools and daycare centres, with over 1 million children having been reached by SchoolFood4Change so far. That accounts to over 100 million healthier school meals served every year. I mean, these are a lot of figures, and we're going to break them down a little bit further. But we also have, I want to explain just a very, very new piece of research from the SchoolFood4Change researchers, that every additional €1 invested in transforming school food, we have calculated that it generates €2.50 in social, environmental, and health benefits. That's more than double. So we think this is also some key information to take back home with us to policymakers and so on. But now I'm going to stop there. I'm going to give the word to my colleague Alberta to talk more detail about some of our other impacts.
Okay. Is it possible to put it in presentation? It's not, yeah, okay. Thank you, Amalia. And I'm very happy to be able to present these results from our project. We measured the impact of our project in terms of environment and health. We developed also a tool called Green Spoon. We were talking about it earlier on in the session during lunchtime. And we are very proud of presenting these results. So what you can see here, Amalia was talking about innovative procurement. We had some ambitions for our innovative procurement in different areas, like organic food, free breakfast, small kitchen, food education, small farmers, fair trade, regional food, and last but not least, greenhouse gas reduction. You can see the pink, I don't know if I can point here. Yes. You can see the pink, faded pink line here. These were our ambitions. So this is what we wanted to achieve with our project. And the darker area is what we actually achieved. So you can see that we exceeded, this is a sample of 13 cities and regions that entered the data in Green Spoon so far, but we exceeded the ambitions we had. For example, for greenhouse gas reduction, the ambition was 25%, and we were able to reduce greenhouse gas reduction by 33%, greenhouse gases by 33%. I don't know if you can hear me or not with the mic. Then another very important thing is the plant-based protein meals, which we tried to increase as much as possible, in many different ways. Some of them just hiding the plant-based inside the meat, or in different ways. But we managed to reach, for that sample, a 33% of plant-based protein meals, which is quite an achievement. And then we measured the environmental impact. This is, for example, in greenhouse gas. So we see that we have some emissions due to food and a 34% of emission due to waste. So this is an area which has already been reduced, but it can be reduced a lot more. It's a potential area of greenhouse gas reduction. And here on the right, we can see what our savings, that 33% of greenhouse gas savings we saw earlier on. What are the shares? What are the good policies, good practices that gave us these savings? The main is the plant-based protein, who give us more than 66% of reduction. So that 33% of plant-based meals give us 66% of the reduction we obtained. And then different types of agriculture, like natural pasture and organic, other type of organic, and the use of the full animal give for the reduction in the emissions. And then this is just an example of some health impact we can show with our tool. So this is the healthy protein balance by the Eat Lancet standards. So this would be the weekly protein balance that should, the intake that is the healthy one. And here you can see an example. This is an example of one partner, before SchoolFood4Change and after. You can see the red, this is all meat, basically. And you can see after the reduction, this was an incredible, an incredible reduction of meat and incredible increase of legumes for this partner. So we're very happy to be able to present the results. And this has been possible thanks really to a co-design of this tool. This tool has been co-designed among many partners. During 4 years, we got together, we got, to use the tool. Many cities, I have to thank really many cities who, had the will to collect the data, use the tool, and tell us a lot of things, a lot of, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And we got a lot of inspiration by this. So thank you very much to everyone who contributed to this.
Okay, thank you both. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so as none of this happened in a policy vacuum, before we dive in a bit deeper into the 3 pillars of SchoolFood4Change triple approach, it's worth pausing and have a look at the European framework that makes school food a matter of rights, not just nutrition. The European Child Guarantee is an EU Council recommendation adopted in 2021, designed to ensure that children at risk of poverty or social exclusion have access to key services, including free healthy meals at the school and early childhood education. Member states are required to submit national action plans and report on progress. It is a significant political commitment, but it remains a recommendation, not a binding obligation, and implementation varies enormously across the EU. I'm pleased to welcome Judith Sparts, Head of Unit at the European Commission Director General for Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion, that oversees this guarantee. Mr. Giritz is online. I hope you are hearing me well. So
yes.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon. I have 2 questions for you in this regard. In a recently published Commission communication on breaking the cycle on child poverty, the Commission promotes the provision of school meals for children in need, working together with the School Meals Coalition through mutual learning and technical assistance. How do you see the strengthened European Child Guarantee potentially growing into a cross-cutting, unifying EU umbrella initiative that ensure every child in every school have a healthy meal and food education at the school?
Okay, many thanks. First of all, I hope there's not a big echo. Do you hear me well? Is it okay?
Yeah. We can hear you well.
Okay, fantastic. I hear some echo, but that's my problem. Anyway, maybe I should first send a big thank you for this opportunity to be with you online only, but this is what it is these days. School meals is something that we consider very, very important. Let me Okay. No. Yes, I think that because I hear myself a lot, but that's fine. Okay, so the child guarantee, you explained what what it is, and uh, you also mentioned that this is a policy instrument at the EU. This is absolutely correct. What is important for us that there is a good support and buy-in from the member states. We have network of child guarantee coordinators, and we follow very much how the child guarantee is implemented. Just to explain the approach, child guarantee is really about closing the gap of those children who are in some way disadvantaged. In our case, we talk about children in poverty or social exclusion. The things. Um, the maybe you can close the microphone on your side. I think that might be a problem. Yes. Thank you.
Cuts.
Yeah.
But
I still hear quite a
technical
big.
room.
Oh, you can just mute yourself. It could be good. Okay, so I'll try to continue. So we basically looking at closing the gap in access to different services, and we're talking about access to education, access to early childhood care, access to healthcare, access to healthy nutrition or housing, and more specifically, school meals. It's one of the key services that we talk about. We are very glad that in the last 5 years, a number of member states have taken this challenge very seriously and expanded their school meal programs, or even launched horizontal ones or pilot projects like Netherlands, Denmark. So I believe that what we have started to do with member states is bearing some fruits. And by the way, we have published 3 weeks ago strengthening of the child guarantee implementation, which you mentioned, also together with a very rich staff working document, which is analytical, but it also provides a state of play of implementation of child guarantee in member states, including in terms of school meals. So there you find our analysis, which is also something that was agreed with member states, of how they implement the different strands of parenting. Your question in relation to child guarantee strengthening, what we aim with strengthening is really to ensure that the fragmented measures that are sometimes in place are moving more towards integrated and child-centered support, which is obviously not very easy. And in a way, I think this initiative is a bit of a victim of its own success. And therefore, we have been asked to strengthen what really works, what are the positive examples in the states. Um, the access to school meals is really a commitment of member states that they take seriously. We have also produced monitoring framework, which you can also find on our web pages, and we can share it after the meeting. We also looking in this monitoring framework in the progress in access to healthy nutrition for vulnerable children. And we see that there is a slight decrease in those children access to nutritious food. The decrease is not very big, but at least the trend is there. Still, despite this progress, healthy food remains a really concrete concern for over 1 million children in the EU who lack daily access to fruit and vegetables. And this is also in the context of rising cost of living. So this is very concerning for us. And that's why we have also, apart from strengthening the child guarantee, we have come up with the anti-poverty strategy. It was published together with the child guarantee package. So for those who are not aware, I invite you to have a look. I will certainly not present it today. Child poverty is really something that we are taking seriously, and that is because unfortunately child poverty is not declining. In spite of a slight decline in general poverty, still the families with children are experiencing the same levels of poverty as in 5 years ago. The fragmented measures towards more integrated support. We are using in the strength child guarantee a number of toolkits or practices for member states to take advantage of, including how to better link child guarantee and youth guarantee instruments. Okay, fantastic. Now I don't hear myself, so hopefully my speech will be more coherent. So this is something that we will be focusing now on delivering various guidances as a part of the strengthening of a child guarantee. What we are also framing in the anti-poverty strategy and the child guarantee as a key message is that investing in children or in school meals or in access to services for children in need should not be considered as a social spending. We know very well, and I think you have also mentioned it at the beginning, that this is an investment in children. It has been looked at also at the OECD, who calculated that child disadvantage cost us, I mean the European Union and its member states, annually 3.44% of GDP. 3.4% of GDP annually. So this is something that is really considerable. And we are trying to promote investing in children as far as possible. And that is why also investing in child guarantee has been flagged as one of the areas of support in the next multi-annual financial framework of the European Union. And now it is really up to member states to pick up this challenge and ensure that sufficient investments, both from the EU funding and national funding, go in that direction. As you mentioned, and I would very much underline this, school meals are not just about feeding children. This is a very important measure for social inclusion. We see that children who take part in school meals programs fare better in schools in terms of attention levels, in terms of academic performance. There is a very well-known Swedish study, longitudinal, that shows all these impacts, and especially for the disadvantaged ones, it can make a big difference. So that is why we will continue to support this. We have outlined some actions that we want to do together with the School Meals Coalition to put this on the policy agenda of the member states in the upcoming future. We are already investing a lot from the EU budget for the implementation of the child guarantee under the current multi-annual financial framework. We talk about almost 10 billion euro available to member states. Most of it is already being put in place, and we also understand that some parts of it goes in favor of school meals in various countries. I don't know if you have any more questions or comments. I'll be happy to take any questions. And apologies for the beginning where I could not really speak well because I was hearing myself. But now it's perfect, and I'm happy to reply to any questions.
They're connecting. Yeah, thank you, Judith. I know you answered partially to this, and thank you for highlighting the importance of this matter. So as you know as well, over 111,000 Europeans signed a petition for every child in every school to receive a healthy meal and food education. So considering the multiple benefits as well and high economic and social return on investment, what would be your personal suggestion to make this vision a reality in the European Union? You were mentioning the multi-annual financial framework, but maybe you want to highlight other vision for the future. Thank you.
I mean, as I mentioned, our ultimate goal is to ensure that school meals are really available for all children in need. What we will be striving for in the first place is to close the gap in access between those who can afford it and those who cannot afford it. We understand that different member states have different systems with different sort of levels of support and approach. And in the first place, as a first step, what do we want to make sure that whatever systems that are in place, some are better than the others, some are more advanced, some are less perfect, but at least within each system, the participation of children who are in poverty or other disadvantage should be at least the same as for other children. What we absolutely cannot afford is that in whatever school meals arrangements, there is a distinction between those who can afford and who cannot afford, or who find it difficult to afford. So this is our first priority. This is the main concern for the child guarantee, and obviously building on this, we are very much supportive of further expansion of school meals in general. We also see currently that there is a naturally focus on lower age groups, and this is absolutely correct. But maybe we can also look further on to more older children, how we can improve their access to school meals, because, as I said, this is really not about nutrition only. It is also about social inclusion, and it's about creating good eating habits, reducing obesity, and diseases that are related to food intake. So these are our goals. This is what we want to do, and in the context of the strengthening of the child guarantee, we will be working on that with the national authorities. We plan to have dedicated sessions with them in the near future, building on the strengthening of the child guarantee. And as I said, in terms of funding, in the next multi-annual financial framework proposal, it is as it is designed. It is really more on member states to ring fence different priority areas. And we hope that what we are providing in terms of the analytical base, the evidence base, and the experience together with good practices will nudge the member states authorities towards more use of EU funding into expanding school meals, and in particular for those who are vulnerable.
Well, thank you very much. I'm not sure if there's a burning question in the room. Otherwise, I know you have to leave. But thank you very much for connecting and being with us online. We are going to
Thank you. Thank you. It was my pleasure, and have a good rest of the meeting.
Thank you. Now let's gonna turn to the 3 pillars of the SchoolFood4Change triple approach and the people who have put them in practice. I'm gonna ask the speakers that are in the room to come up. And in the meantime, I know some of you don't have the translation, but one of them at least is gonna speak in Italian. So if you want to go for the headphones in the back, you can go. Otherwise, we'll continue as it is. So yeah, please, Christina, Monica, Tamara, Nadia, you can come into the stage. Okay. I would like to introduce as well Lynn Tyrons, which is online. She is Good Food at the School Project Officer from Recolto, Belgium. And Cristina Sosan, just here, from the Food Policy and Education Department of the City of Milan, one of the cities implementing the project. So translating the World School Food approach from concept to daily food reality requires action at multiple levels simultaneously. So my question for both Lynn and Christina is going to be the same. This is a double question format. So what is the concrete added value of a SchoolFood4Change, World School Food approach delivers for children, schools and communities, and what does it take to make it happen? What are the real barriers and enables on the ground? What role can local and regional authorities play in creating the right conditions? And what could Europe do through funding, policy, and mutual learning to accelerate this at a scale? Yeah, Lynn is online. Thank you for joining us as well. And yeah, Christina, you can come here to answer. But first, Lynn, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the relevant and interesting question. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes, okay. So I would like to illustrate the added value of the whole school food approach framework with a very concrete example. It's about a healthy vending machine in a secondary school in Antwerp, which is the second largest city in Belgium. It was a very successful project in which we combined many different things. So first of all, it was totally run by the students. Students from various disciplines took part. For example, marketing students were responsible for promotion, for tasting. Logistics students were responsible for stock management, placing orders. So there was a lot of student involvement. That's one thing. Then second thing, of course, the content of the machine changed from chocolate bars, sugary drinks, to nuts and flavored waters. So the food on offer was much better afterwards. Also, the school decided to start with serving soup during lunch break, because it's also a school with many pupils from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So it has made that conscious decision to really work on the food offer. Then a third thing is that the new vending machine was a great opportunity to talk about processed food, sugary drinks, energy drinks, which, as you know, are part of a teenager's daily diet. So they really put an effort on education. So in general, the whole school food approach was a very useful framework for this school. By working on the food offer, the education. In the meantime, the school also worked on the food policy, on parent and student involvement. So they, working together, they all made it, or they used a very holistic approach in this school. And this happened not only in this specific school in Antwerp. The framework was tested in many cities, like Amalia already mentioned, many cities over Europe, many schools. And afterwards, there was a qualitative research conducted, many interviews, and they all confirmed that this framework is very useful. For those who are not familiar with it, it consists of 4 different pillars. I will not explain it into detail, but good to know is that within every pillar, you can find many ideas and suggestions on how to integrate it in your city or even in your school. So the really nice thing, because I work with it, so I can tell it from firsthand, is that you can really adapt it to your local situation and to your priorities. So you can go to your particular starting point and from there on move further, step by step. So some schools start with changing the school food policy, others, and then move to changing the offer. Sometimes it starts from parent involvement, and then they go to pupil involvement, and then to changing the food on offer, and so on. So it's really adaptable to your particular situation. And another really good thing is that the result of using the framework is to make sure that your effort is sustainable and long-lasting. It's not a one-shot. It's not just a project or a nice initiative, but it's really something sustainable within a school. So you also asked me to talk about enablers and barriers. The main barrier we noticed is a lack of time and personnel within schools. Schools in Belgium, and I guess it's everywhere in Europe the same, they complain they are being overburdened, they have too many tasks. So what can enable this, and we've seen in many cities, in many Belgian cities as well, that what really helps is appointing someone at city level to support schools in this regard. So someone who coordinates school meals, who collects knowledge, who can deal with procurement, which is very difficult for schools to do it on their own. But if you can organize this on city level, you can help them a lot. So that's something we would really advise. And another very much needed thing is national legislation, because now the whole school food approach is tested in some progressive cities in a country, but we really need this to install this nationwide in all the participating countries, and therefore we need adapted legislation. So that are two enablers we noticed. So now over to Christina. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you. Christina?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. Thank you, Lynn. I will try to be very short because there are many speakers. So the question was the concrete value of this approach. For us, it was really the focus, the possibility to focus on food education, because the city of Milan has a very important strategies on the menus and on the food, the design of our food menus and the sustainability and health. But we wanted to work more on food education. So the concrete value was the creation of a path towards the changes of the approaches of children and teachers towards the school meal. Their judgment, so to try to involve them in, knowing the meal on other aspects. So trying to involve them in discovering the parts of the meal, the ingredients, what is behind the meal. That was really very important, and we feel that we succeed with the schools that we have involved. So, which are the things that are needed to do that? It's, let's say, the opportunities, like this European project, opportunities to start with piloting, and then the strong efforts of the administration, and in our case, of our vice mayor, she will speak after. So the belief of the importance of food education toward the explanation of why the school meal is so important, and all the values that stays around a school meal. And then the coordination among the various actors, coordination between the various parts within the municipality, and also the teachers, and also other actors that are involved in educational part in the community. And last but not least, the training and the people. And also the preparation of the materials that we would like to give to the teachers. We have to be accurate, and we have to provide materials that they can use, easy to use, and easy to explain to the kids. Barriers, a lot of barriers, but also working together actually make it easier. So the motivation of the teachers, this is a very important barrier that I think that all the cities here have felt. So how can we increase their motivation in participating in educational projects? The training, as I was saying, the training for teachers, but also for chefs. And we did a lot of experience with the University of Pollenzo. And last but not least, the resources, I was saying, within the municipality, and also the resources within the schools, because it's not easy for schools to find the time to discuss and to promote food education. So the leverage are also other type of projects that we can implement, such as the ones related to procurement, and that give us the possibility to increase the food education opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cristina. I invite everyone to look at the website of SchoolFood4Change. There are many reports and best practices that we have collected, and many other materials. It's a really nice website, so it's been curated with love, so you can go to it. Now let's move to procurement, arguably the pillar that lives or dies in the details of legislation and contracts. I would like to bring in Monica Ruth, Senior Expert in Sustainable Food Systems at ICLEI Europe, and Tamara Brunin, Head of Cleaning and Catering Services at the Municipality of Ghent. So to both of you, again, public procurement rules were not designed with sustainability in mind, yet change is happening. How do you make food procurement genuinely innovative, and how do you design tenders that support local and regional economies? What specific barriers have you hit, regulatory, administrative, or on the supply side? And how did you work around them, or even change them? And is there a place for food education within procurement frameworks themselves?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the question. And I can just respond with the one answer. I was very lucky to work with amazing people working with the procurement like Tamara here. And I've learned a lot during those last 4 years of working together on changing tenders, on making them more innovative, more sustainable. And of course, public food procurement rules were not originally designed for sustainability or local food systems. So procurers need to be creative, and the creativity is the key. I hope you agree, Tamara. So finding new ways of working with existing rules and gradually pushing them to be more flexible while doing it also in a transparent way, according to the law, is a big challenge. So there are many examples, but I would like to highlight 3. First, what we have learned in SchoolFood4Change, really the power of redesigning tenders. And the redesigning means both in terms of the content as well as the structure. So on the content side, cities integrate criteria that are linked to variety, seasonality, diversity, and taste. These are important keywords for product categories. So just to give you an example, a very inspiring one from the Copenhagen, where seasonal diversity became part of the tender criteria. In one case, the winning bid included 38 different apple varieties in a season. So this is amazing innovation, because it also shows you that procurement really can support biodiversity, local food culture, and enrich experiences around food for children. But one of the key barriers is also structural, right? So the procurement systems, rules, and regulation are designed also for large suppliers, making it difficult for smaller farmers, for the cooperatives, SMEs to participate. So it's an important solution to divide tenders into smaller lots or the product categories, making those contracts, procurement contracts, more accessible to regional producers. No? And we had an amazing example also from Umea, where a small contract for seasonal vegetables were developed, and in that way, the farmers who produces leafy greens started to deliver to 7 schools and meet the kitchen staff as well, and exchange on recipes that can come out from those seasonal vegetables. So you can see how powerful it is when the content and the structure can be redesigned. And then the second one it's very, very important is the turning procurement into dialogue. So a major barrier is often this disconnect between what public institutions ask for and what regional producers or smaller producers can realistically provide, or what even kitchen staff can do with this produce, right? So cities are started moving really from seeing this procurement more as this kind of administrative, legal work, which is, of course, but looking at it also more as a dialogue, as a process of building relationship with the territory, with the people. So it means bringing together municipalities, farmers, producers, unions.
Recording stopped.
Okay, and before and after tenders, asking not only what do we want to buy, but what can local producers realistically deliver, or how can we shape the demand together, or with what kind of recipes we want to come up with. So asking questions and putting yourself into dialogue with others. And of course, we have amazing example like from Nuoro, where market dialogues really strengthen short food supply chains and brought much more produce from the territory into the children's plate. So do your market dialogues. And the third one, as we heard before about whole school food approach, there is definitely a place for food education in the procurement frameworks. We see in countries with universal school meals, Finland, Estonia, Sweden, where school meals are understood not simply as a service, as a catering, but as a part of education, as a public health policy, and as the well-being of the children. And we also saw it in SchoolFood4Change in Czech Republic and in Slovakia, this model of the really healthy schools, where the food education is really priority for the children. And we have seen in many SchoolFood4Change cities, such as Milan, where whole school food approach was directly inserted into the tenders, where children could join the tasting sessions, the cooking activities. They met people behind yogurt, for example. So this is a huge experience for the child, for its early learning. And therefore, I think this is the biggest innovation shift, really thinking about the procurement as a way to buy healthier food, but also to insert food education as a priority for the future of food and health of our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Tamara, some fun from you.
Is it on? Yeah, it's on. Okay. Right, barriers. So procurement law, it's a nerdy thing to deal with. Most of the people just run out of the room if they hear something about procurement law. But it's up to us, procurement officers, to deal with it and to find the gaps in the law. There's also the interpretation of the law. Interpretation of law changes through time. So that's also an important thing to keep in mind. Like, for example, one of the fundamental principles of public procurement is that you award a contract to the most economically advantaged tender. That's one way of looking at it, if you look at it in a very strict way. But you can also consider price and quality. And this is how you aim for best value for money. So it's the interpretation of that same sentence in the law that you can work with. What we also noticed in Ghent, if we want to achieve more sustainability, that we also achieve more quality. So sustainability and quality they go hand in hand. So that's really nice, a nice something to discover. One of the examples is like buying veggies and fruits in season. You get better quality, you get best value for money then, so the price is better. One of the things, and there's the law again, is in season means from the country of origin. So there's always this little sneaky little detail in there. So, but we tackle that. So what we do, we have attachment to our tenders, and we just add some seasonal calendars just to inspire the suppliers. But this is a way just to work around certain things without doing illegal stuff. Another thing, what you can do is, like, for example, you can ask for a certain amount of seasonal vegetables. You can tell when you want tomatoes on the menu or when you want to eat apples. No one can oblige you to eat apples every day. You can perfectly say, no, I only want to eat apples from August to May. It's perfectly fine. Nothing illegal there. One of the other things is that, which is very important, like Monica also pointed out, is that you do need to do your research. Do your research on availability and affordability. And in other words, do your market dialogues. You have to speak to potential suppliers. Because you can have this wild idea that works quite fine on paper, and then you write it into tender, throw it on the market, and they all go like, have you been drinking when you've written this? So do your market dialogues. Like, for example, we are doing our dialogues now on a coffee tender, and we noticed that so much has changed in the last few years about habits, but also about the law. Habits is that People do not want those big vending machines anymore. No, they want those cute little tabletop machines. Law has changed on disposables. Single-use plastics, that's really a no-no. So those little milk cups, yeah, we have to rethink that one. From a logistic point of view, that's a nightmare to rethink that. But okay, if we didn't do that market dialogue, we wouldn't have known those kind of details. So I will tell it again by repeating and repeating. Everyone will know it by the end of the session. Do your market dialogues. Okay, so what's also a challenge is that in the Belgian context, the city of Ghent is considered to be a big city. We're 270,000 inhabitants. That's a small village according to Rome. There's 2.8 million here, so, but in Belgium we're big. This means that we have buying power. It's our advantage, but it's also our disadvantage. It's a disadvantage because we have complex logistics. We need a big amount of food. And if you step up to small suppliers and SMEs, they go like, thank you, bye. We don't want to do business with you. And it kind of frustrated with us, because in the surroundings of Ghent, we have really lovely suppliers for dairy and all that stuff. And so what we did is that we've done market dialogue. And we found out that we should start small. Small contract, so we get to meet the suppliers. We get them to know our chefs from our staff restaurants. They know the products, and we just kept on growing and growing. But we keep it under the EU threshold, so now we have a tender today for SMEs and small suppliers from the short supply chain, not local, short supply chain. It's 140,000 euros, 4-year contract with lovely products. We have different lots in there, so we made it small enough for them able to apply for it. And what we also do, if we have a new supplier that has never, ever, ever heard before of public procurement law and all those strange books we write that we call a tender, we teach them. We explain them how the game works. So by keeping it smaller and do the necessary explanation, we can contract SMEs and small suppliers. So we do not have barriers, we have challenges that we like to tackle. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now we go to the pillar that perhaps that mostly touches children's life every day, what's actually on the plate and who cooks it. So I would like to welcome Nadia Teco, researcher at the University of Gastronomic Science in Italy, and Manuel Polschadl, head of kitchen training team at Canteen Zukunft, joining us online from Germany. So translating planetary health diet guidelines into meals that children actually want to eat is one of the hardest parts in this transition. What does the evidence and the daily experience in the kitchen tell us about what works? What culinary strategies or moments of real surprise made the difference? And what support, training, or autonomy was needed to get there? Actually, also, maybe more from Manuel, what resistance did you encounter from children, parents, institutions, or even from cooks themselves, and how did you work through it? So please, Nadia, you go first.
Okay. Thank you, Paola, and it's a pleasure to be here. So, try to answer to your question. Translating planetary healthy diet, the guideline, into something that could be real, it's challenging because it's not an issue that it's only nutritional. We are dealing with something that is more complex. We are dealing with something that works at the level of our sense. We are dealing at the level of the culture, something that works with education, and something that is strongly related with the organizational issue. So, also the evidence say to us that children do not eat a guideline, but they eat food. So we need to start from this very simple evidence. And so maybe we can have a meal that on paper are sustainable and healthy, but if children do not like them, these meals are failing their promise. Their promise on a nutritional level, but also on the environmental and social promise. So I think that the real question is not only how we design planetary and healthy meals, but also how do we make these meals desirable, familiar, and acceptable for children. And what seems to work, starting from the scientific point of view, it's not a single solution, but we need to move from a combination of solutions. Of course, we need the triple approach. We need to combine procurement with the whole school food approach, but also dealing with the acceptability, we need to combine different elements. Because we know that children are more likely to accept a plant-rich meal when they are sensorially appealing. So they are good to see, to taste, to smell. Also, children like familiar food, and so they like formats they can recognize. So in Italy, works very well pasta, lasagne, meatballs. We are dealing with something that we recognize as familiar. And also, they need to be introduced gradually. So they need to eat through repeated exposure, tasting sensory education, and positive mealtime experience. So this is especially important for vegetable, legumes, and all the unfamiliar ingredients, which are central to planetary health diets, and also among food children may reject more easily. In SchoolFood4Change, what we did in Pollenzo, but also with the support of all the other partners, such as the food, such as Eating City, is to translate this evidence into a training, in something that can be concrete. And we wanted to answer to three main challenges. One is the acceptability gap. The second one is the implementation gap, and the third one is the evidence gap. So dealing with the acceptability, we wanted to work on sensory design, so to create something that can be desirable for children, creating, for example, a bridge for new ingredients and how to build flour, roasting, using herbs, spices, umami, and new texture. From the implementation gap, we wanted to create a training that can combine the perspective of the different people that works around the school meal. So we engage cooks, but also we engage people that works in the school meal ecosystem. So people that create the procurement criteria, people that design the menu, the dietitian. We need to combine this different perspective. Otherwise, every people try to judge and see the school meal from one perspective, one single angle. And also from the evidence point of view, we have introduced into the training a sensory test in order to understand what are the changes that we need to adopt in the single recipe, and what are the issues that change also according to the local context, according to the local food culture. And we use this training, but also we integrated with some tools such as new recipe that are not just a list of instructions. The recipe are a way to connect the principles that are integrated in the procurement, but also the recipe is a way to create a bridge with the education experience. So the recipe is not just a recipe. Food is not just food in our case. And one of our key lessons from this training is the central role of cook. Cook is not just someone who execute, who create food. The cooks are mediators because they are in a position where they can create bridge between what happens in the procurement, but also they are very close to children, they are close to family, so they can work in connection with all the side of food education. And I think that when we dealing with this experience, this long experience, I'm moving to close, and I want, of course, to quote in this moment our president, Carlo Petrini. It was also the founder of Slow Food. And Carlo was saying that with food we educate, but also with food we can change. And this is what we have experienced during our project. And also, I wanted to remember what for Carlo was very central. We need to remember that when we eat, we experience something that is a joy, is strongly related with our sense. And so we need to remember this when we want to design acceptability. And if this food is shared, it's even better. And also, if this food is selected with the criteria that are good for the environment, for people, for all the people in the world, we are making the real change. And so we can make the experience of the school meal a real experience of change. And so I wanted to remember him, but it's not just a remember, it's a way to put his message forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we have Manuel in the online.
Yes, you do. I hope you can hear me well. I see you can see me. Thanks for having me. I'm really flattered to be able to talk to you, and I'm sad I can't be with you in Roma right now, but I'm flattered that I can speak to you. When I was asked to be the kitchen trainer for SchoolFood4Change Germany, I was right at home. I've been a school cafeteria chef for about a decade, most of the time as a head chef. And so I know children that don't want to eat the food we cook very, very good. And what Nadia said, that children need something they can grasp onto, need some familiar things. And funnily, they are almost the same things in Germany that Nadia mentioned. They're like pasta and lasagna and little balls of fried something, whether it's meat or chickpeas or whatever. It works very, very well. And when I started being a kitchen trainer for Kantine Zukunft, for Speiseräume, which I'm here for, we trained with Line Nielsen from Copenhagen, from the Malhus, and one of the first things she taught me was healthy and sustainable is only what people eat. What is being left on the plate is neither nor. So every time we work with kitchens, we have to think about what will be eaten and what will not be eaten. And so me training kitchen chefs all over Germany for the past 6 years, and especially with SchoolFood4Change Germany in the last years, I wanted to go on the same route we're normally doing with kitchens where we have much more time with. We invited them from Nuremberg and from Essen to a workshop into our training kitchen. We have a training kitchen in Berlin, and we asked them, what do you need? What do you see? What problems do you have? What obstacles do you have to overcome? And they taught us a lot of things about their kitchens, and so I decided, let's go there. I visited every kitchen we worked with, and worked for a whole day with the chefs in those kitchens. And that was the way to overcome their resistance, which mostly is. When we train with kitchens in Germany, we always visit those kitchens and get eye to eye with the chefs, because we're chefs ourselves. It always works. And so there is no resistance at that point, because they see we're not talking about things, we're doing things. I was very lucky to having visited Copenhagen last week with delegations from catering companies from Germany, school catering companies, and one key sentence that was said was, food transition cannot be talked into place. It has to be practiced. And so we have to go to the kitchens and work with the chefs themselves in their kitchens on their meals, instead of only telling them things they would be able to do if they would be able to do them, because every kitchen is different. And the last thing I'd like to say about that, which really got me when I was in Copenhagen last week, which fits so good to every school kitchen in Germany too, was something Søren, which was a School Food for Change chef too, from the Copenhagen Eat kitchen. We are not here to make money. We are here to do the best food and the highest quality and the healthiest and tastiest food we can give to those children, which really got me. And I think if we have the opportunity to work like that with kitchens, with students, with chefs, we're on the right track.
Thank you. I think we are running out of time, but I would like to thank our speakers, both in the room and online. We have here each pillar separately, but as we mentioned as well at the beginning, the power of this triple approach actually lies in how they connect. So there's no really a secret ingredient of School4Change. It's actually all the mix and the systems that community participation, food education, diet quality, the use of the 5 senses, doing your market dialogues, and other procurement reforms must move together. So doing one without the others actually leave too much on the table. So the work continues, and the tools and good practices S6, again, check the website. And the evidence is still growing. We just need the political will to scale it, and also maybe some funding. But if this conversation have left you wanting more, you are in luck. Stay in this room, because we are continuing with more School4Change. Thank you.
While there's a change of scene, I just give you 2 technical information. In this session, there will be one speech in Italian. So if, yes, besides Milan. There will be one speech in Italian, so if you want to have the consecutive translation, you can get the headphones there. In the session afterwards, there will be another speech in Italian, but we will have consecutive translation on the stage. For those who
this session, we will see how some European cities have put into practice the project and how they have addressed the challenge of the triple approach. And hopefully, of course, we will learn what they plan to do in the future. So to share their experiences, we are joined by Germinal Perrault, President of the Departmental Council of Dordogne in France. Please join me here. Thank you. Welcome. We also have Annika Vaikla, Deputy Mayor of the Municipality of Viimsi, Estonia, and Mariangela Crabolu, Councillor of the City of Nuoro in Italy. Benvenuta. And we also have 3 speakers online who are joining us. I ask if they are already online and I can greet them. The first one is Sofia Heden, Deputy Mayor of the City of Malmö. Welcome, good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. And then we have the Deputy Mayor of the City of Milan, Anna Scavuzzo. Let's see if she...
Here I am.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
And then we also have Laline Wadera, Deputy Mayor of the City of Leuven in Belgium. She's here. Well, thank you for being with us. So we are starting now, but we are already late. So for me, what I can do is trying to keep my introduction brief and starting with the first round of a question. So a couple of minutes each for this first round of a question, and I would start with the Deputy Mayor of Malmö, Sofia Heden, because I know that due to institutional commitment, then she will have to leave us. So, Deputy Mayor Heden, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
See you on the screen. Can we have? Here she is. Thank you. So now we see you. So your city, Malmö, has done an extensive work to make food procurement more accessible to local producers, and you also took a creative approach to procurement reform. So what has this experience shown?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me here. Actually, school food has been one of my favorite things my whole life, I guess, because before I became the deputy mayor, I was a teacher for 20 years. So I have basically been eating school food my whole life. But what Malmö now has is a new type of tender that is called a dynamic purchasing system, a DPS. And it allows small and medium-sized food producers to sell their products without committing to supplying the same product in quantities throughout the year. So this makes the seasonal ingredient available to public institutions in the city, which previously could only purchase through the wholesale agreement. And to be included in the DPS tender, the producer must be able to offer a site visit for schools that can be carried out during the working day. So this ensures that only nearby producers can participate in the agreement and strengthens the link between food education and production. And the advantages of DPS are many, primarily benefiting small and medium-sized food producers who are usually too small to be a part of the city's regular food departments due to low production volumes. And in addition, purchasers get an opportunity to build the relationships with those who grow the food, and schools and preschools have the chance to visit producers. And by that, I can create an authentic learning. So in time when resilience and food supply have become increasingly relevant issues, this is also a way for the city to build strong supplier networks and encourage closer relationships between suppliers and consumers.
Thank you. So let me ask you a second question, which I will then put to the other speakers too. So what will be your next steps? What do you plan to do?
Well, the next step is that first to have more producers to participate, so we can have more local ingredients, and also to increase the number of schools and preschools, So making the use of this purchase locally sourced produce for more schools. And I think that the schools and preschools that has been part of this project, for them it's not longer a project, it's an everyday work.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here with us this afternoon. Thank you. And so now, now I will move to France. Dordogne, President Perrault. Well, you had very strong results, including a commitment to 100% organic procurement, and also a remarkable reduction in childhood obesity from 51.5% to 15.2%. So, and it all began with the vision of one pioneering school. So what was the journey like?
Excuse me, I can't speak in English. When I speak English a long time, I don't understand what I said. Donc je vais parler en français. Nous avons fait le choix de cette expérience il y a 8 ans déjà, 100% bio, 100% local, 100% fait maison, pour 3 raisons. D'abord une raison sociale. On a voulu offrir à tous les élèves de Dordogne, des collèges, une alimentation saine, une alimentation équilibrée, puisqu'on sait très bien que c'est dans les familles les plus pauvres que l'alimentation est la moins équilibrée. La deuxième raison, c'est une raison économique. L'agro-industrie propose dans les collèges de Dordogne des petits pois du Guatemala, des haricots verts du Kenya, de la julienne de légumes de Slovénie, des brochettes de poulet de Bulgarie, etc., etc. Et nous, on préfère faire travailler les paysans de notre département ou les paysans qui sont au-dessus. Derrière, il y a de l'emploi, mais il y a aussi une culture, il y a un savoir-faire que l'on veut maintenir. Et puis la dernière raison, c'est une raison environnementale. On a fait le choix du bio parce qu'on estime que la planète sortira des pesticides. Ça mettra du temps, mais on est persuadé que ce sera comme ça dans l'avenir. Et ensuite, on a voulu supprimer des déplacements que nous, on juge inutiles, puisque consommer du local, c'est réduire les déplacements. Voilà, cette réflexion, elle a mûri chez les élus de la Dordogne. Moi-même, je suis élu depuis 43 ans. J'ai été maire d'un village, je suis conseiller du département maintenant, et j'ai été 20 ans député socialiste à l'Assemblée nationale au Parlement français. Voilà pourquoi on s'est engagé sur cette voie.
Merci beaucoup.
I make the translation. I speak in the I form. I decided to launch this project because I have the political vision and for 3 main reasons. The first one is a healthy one. We want to provide all our middle school students in Dordogne, in our region, healthy, affordable meals, because we know also that it's in the poorest families that the food quality is at the lowest, and we want to guarantee this equality among all of our children. The second one is an economic one. The agro-business, the agro-industry is offering in Dordogne green beans from Kenya, vegetables from Slovenia, chicken from Bulgaria, and so on and so on. But we in Dordogne have the chance that we have everything which is produced on site directly in our region. And what we want is to develop ecosystems that make our small organic farmers work. So that's the economical reason. And the third one is an environmental reason. I'm pretty confident that we will get rid of pesticides in a short future, in a near future. And that's my belief. And I wanted to go 100% organic to protect both the health of the children and also the environment of our region and of the planet as well. So I've been elected since 43 years. I've been the mayor of a small town in Dordogne. I've been 20 years socialist member of the French Parliament, and this conviction is deeply rooted in my convictions, and that's why we started with this project, and that we will carry on.
Thank you very much. So of course, thank you. So of course it is important also to move from a fragmented initiative to a systemic transformation. Milan is a good example. Deputy Mayor Scavuzzo, in Milan, tens of thousands, and we have the Deputy Mayor Scavuzzo, and here she is. So in Milan, tens of thousands of school meals are served every day. And you chose to promote food education and sustainability with many approaches, targeting schools, targeting families, targeting food public procurement. So what lessons have emerged from this experience over the years?
Thank you very much. Also for this community of cities working together, also because this exchange of experience is the first goal we reach together. Also in the engagement of families in these different projects you mentioned, because you need to enlarge, to engage, and to propose different experience, also to go beyond the habits people and schools have. And so we know that we are a big family. All over Europe, a lot of cities are working just in the same way. And this is very interesting also because you don't focus attention just on your school canteens, but on food, thinking about all the students, all the families, all the cities all over the world. It's quite different, a different approach, local action, but you know you belong to a global project. This is the first lesson. You have to raise awareness also in your school about the importance on their role. They have a key role in the design of the new Europe and in the relationship between citizens, communities, and food. First of all. The second lesson learned, I would like to underline the importance of action, not just words, not just ideas, but also concrete actions together with them. And so you feel a very key part of the process, and you can also improve the knowledge at school and at home. The third lesson is the relationship with families, because you focus attention on education when you are at school, but you bring at home also the lesson learned, and you ask to your families, what about doing just the same as we learned at school? And it's very interesting also because in this approach, you mix the lesson for children and for adults, also because communities and our new way of watching at sustainability should be intergenerational. And it's very important also this school food approach for us also in the procurement, both at school, in school canteens, driven by municipality, but also at home. So pay attention also on young behavior. These different lesson learned are very important for us also because it's a sort of different approach on the future, because we know that we can force just one project or one thing among the project we are dealing with, but we have to work together with the community. And in this exchange, we propose something, they try also to suggest something to us. I can underline, for instance, the very important role of families in engaged in the commission inside school to suggest some ideas and some new projects. Last not least, for us it's very important also to enter at school, not just in the school canteens. And so we can read, for instance, the menus in the classroom every day. We can explore ingredients through a scientific, naturalistic, and historical lens. We can visit kitchens and meetings together with the cooks. So schools in regular activity and school in special activity. Also, this is very important for us, for instance, in the International School Meals Day, in which everything is mixed together. And so, in this different lesson learn, we would like also to go on, not just focusing attention on school canteens, but in everything is connected with the education at school.
Thank you very much. So very important lessons. Then, of course, every country has its own rules, its own traditions, its own lifestyles, and so Deputy Mayor Laline Vadera, in Leuven, schools were left to manage food procurements independently, but your city sought to inspire and support improvements while also helping the most vulnerable students. So how did this approach work?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the question. Thank you for having me. It's a real honor to be here and talk a bit about the situation of Leuven. In Leuven, the Leuven experience, it shows us that you cannot simply impose one model on every school. So we tried working from the bottom up, starting from the reality of schools, children and families. I don't know if you know or if it is the same in other countries, but in Flanders, we really have the tradition that children bring lunch from home. But after COVID, schools increasingly noticed that some children came without lunch or with unhealthy food. And at the same time, a lot of schools' catering services had disappeared. And so that really made the access to healthy meals more difficult. And so for us, the thing about the food in schools really is a question about equal educational opportunities, because in Leuven, in Flanders, we say that a child cannot learn well on an empty stomach. And so healthy food cannot be separated from education. To us, it really is one of the conditions that make learning possible. And so that is why in 2021, together with Ricolto and within the SchoolFood4Change, we launched a project call for schools, and we did not impose just one solution, but we asked schools, what is feasible for you in the context that you are working in? And so different schools developed different approaches. Some organized soup or fruit moments, other focused on breakfasts, other on healthy snacks, warm meals. Several schools even created some solidarity systems so that every child could really participate without a stigma. And what we saw also is that parents and pupils were really activated in the process. And so we set accessibility key concern. So the financial accessibility, of course, is very necessary. So what we introduced was a system where families who needed support could automatically, really automatically, without filling in any forms, automatically received reduced prices. So that they could really, that their children could use the meals in school. But, and I heard that also in the other speakers, their presentations, accessibility means financially, yes, but also making meals attractive, inclusive, healthy, tasty, cultural, diverse. And so with the support from Ricolto and the city, schools also worked on that process, also making the menus more diverse, culturally attractive. And so today we have 16 schools in Leuven that participate. We reach more than 5,000 pupils. So for Leuven, that's quite a lot. We only have 100,000 inhabitants, 20,000 students. So we're very proud of that number. But we also see that the Flemish government is supporting us in making these choices. And so we as a city, we don't want to take it over from schools, but we want to connect, support them, and lower the thresholds. And so for us now, next step, but I think that will be the question in a few minutes. I really want to tell you something about the next steps that we will be taking to make sure that these 16 schools will become all schools in Leuven, all pupils with healthy meals, affordable meals, but also diverse, sustainable meals.
Sure. Thank you very much. So this was Leuven, what happened in Leuven, and what happened in Estonia. Deputy Mayor Annika Vaikla, you live in a small municipality in northern Estonia. Was it challenging to adopt this approach in a municipality of approximately 20,000 inhabitants, and would you recommend it to other small towns or municipalities?
Hello, everybody. Viimsi is a beautiful coastal municipality located near the Estonian's capital, Tallinn. 70% of our area is natural park and coastline. And compared to the larger European cities, we are quite small. We have only 23,000 inhabitants. We have 5 municipal schools and 9 municipal kindergarten, and all of them were involved in the project because it was really important for us that every school and kindergarten are involved. And the biggest school we have, there are 1,300 students, and the smallest school, which is located in a beautiful small island called Prangli, there is only 6 students. And also Prangli was involved in the project. Yes, we are a municipality and there is no central town. Actually, there is no towns. And there is also, there is only disconnected villages. But yeah, what are the challenges for us? I think there were fewest challenges and more advantages. As we are small, the communication between schools, the municipality, catering providers and families is so much faster and more direct. It is easier to bring people together around shared goals and test new ideas in practice. And in many ways, in Viimsi as well, the other small municipalities and towns are very good pilot project environment for innovative changes. We can react quickly, collect feedback directly from schools and students, and adjust without long decision-making processes. This flexibility helped us introduce new approaches step by step and continuously learn during the process. And of course, there were challenges. Changing food habits and balancing nutritional goals, children preferences and practical catering possibilities is not always easy. But because of our network is smaller and cooperation is closer, it was easier to build trust and keep the dialogue active. One important lesson for us was that improving school food is not only about procurement and menus, it is about creating a shared food culture in schools and kindergartens. We involve students through feedback, cooking activities and practical workshops, and this helped children feel part of the process instead of only receiving changes from adults. And yes, we do recommend this approach to smaller municipalities and towns. Small municipalities can be very strong innovative partners because they are flexible, close to their communities, and able to test solutions more quickly. Even small practical change can create a long-term impact when the whole community is involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Crabolo, Nuoro is also a small city. You already won the Compraverde Mensa Verde Prize 2024, and the analysis of your results shows that this effort generates also a significant social return on investment and that it can also be economically sustainable. So what has your experience been?
Allora, il mio intervento sarà in italiano. Per Nuoro, che è una piccola città di 32.000 abitanti, il progetto ha rappresentato molto di più di un intervento sulla semplice refezione scolastica. È stato e ci ha consentito un percorso di politica pubblica integrata che ha messo assieme salute, educazione, sostenibilità ambientale, inclusione sociale e sviluppo territoriale. Diciamo che non ci si è limitati ad aderire formalmente a questo progetto, ma si è trasformato il servizio mensa in una sorta di leva politica pubblica locale. E lo abbiamo fatto attraverso diciamo, vari elementi che sono emersi, attraverso ovviamente lo strumento della prevenzione sanitaria, quindi diciamo, cercando di promuovere quella che è un'alimentazione sana ed equilibrata, rinforzando quella che possiamo definire politica educativa, cioè attraverso il coinvolgimento di tutti i soggetti interessati, quindi il coinvolgimento delle famiglie, dei dirigenti scolastici, della ASL, dei produttori locali e perfino dei cuochi, quindi creando una sorta di governance partecipata dal forte valore politico che costruisce una corresponsabilità fra le istituzioni e la comunità educante. Elemento importante di questo percorso è stato quello relativo alla sostenibilità ambientale, perché un merito particolare forse che ha avuto la nostra città è quello di aver in qualche modo trasformato dei principi generali come quelli della filiera corta, della riduzione degli sprechi, in atti amministrativi concreti. Un esempio è stato ad esempio quello appunto di aver cercato in tutti i modi di innovare il capitolato di gara della mensa con i criteri CAM, i criteri ambientali minimi e con la previsione nel bando di gara di un requisito piuttosto elevato di garanzia di utilizzo da parte appunto di chi si fosse aggiudicata la gara di prodotti chiaramente altamente certificati a chilometro zero e con una elevata percentuale di biologico. Questo ha fatto sì, questa innovazione, che portasse a Nuoro il premio Mensa Verde del 2024. Insomma, ci siamo distinti e questo ci fa particolarmente piacere. Altra riflessione che possiamo fare sul percorso che è stato fatto da Nuoro è quello di aver in qualche modo cercato di realizzare un modello di sviluppo territoriale. Infatti, il legame con le aziende agricole del territorio, la valorizzazione dei prodotti locali, le filiere corte, le partnership con la scuola, fattoria, producono effetti che vanno oltre il sistema scolastico, perché valorizzare appunto le identità agroalimentari del territorio, ridurre l'impatto ambientale dei trasporti, soprattutto in un territorio come il nostro, la Sardegna, caratterizzato anche dall'insularità e quindi anche da un discorso di distanze per quanto riguarda i trasporti, porta anche a creare un'economia di prossimità. E questo per un territorio, appunto, ripeto, interno come quello nostro di Nuoro, è un tema politicamente importantissimo, perché la mensa scolastica diventa a questo punto anche uno strumento di sviluppo locale e di contrasto alla marginalità territoriale.
Grazie, thank you. Thank you. So, the Deputy Mayor of Milan, Anna Scavuzzo, had to leave us for some institutional commitments. Now we have discussed what we have achieved so far. We thank her, of course, for having been with us. There is one important thing, even if we are very, very late, that we would like to know from you, and is what your next steps will be. So even if you are late, please, in a couple of minutes, tell us what you plan to do in the coming years. Who wants to start? I see. Please, tell us.
Yes, our next steps are about making these activities more systematic, what we have done so far, and part of everyday school life in long term. We want to continue strengthening cooperation between schools, catering providers, and families. We also want food education to become a more natural part of learning, so topics like healthy eating, sustainability, and food waste relate to everyday activities in school and kindergartens. Another important goal for us is to continue reducing food waste and improving students' acceptance of healthy meals. We would also like to share our experience more actively with other municipalities, especially small governments, because they may face similar challenges than we do. At the same time, we believe it is very important to keep and support what has already been done and achieved. Many project activities are driven by strong motivation and enthusiasm during the project period. But after the project ends, people also need time to make these new practices part of their normal routines. So before starting many new developments, it is important to keep teams motivated, maintain cooperation networks, and allow schools and kindergartens to continue using these approaches in a stable and realistic way. So for us, the long-term goal is to move from a project-based approach towards a lasting food culture approach in schools and kindergartens.
Thank you very much. Who wants to go next? Maybe Leuven, who is online. Can we ask her?
Yes, of course. Always happy to tell you something about Leuven. The next steps that we will be doing, as I said before, is that we will be preparing an open call for school caterers and food suppliers, because we will ask them to provide information about healthy menus, sustainability, short supply chain, these things, because we want to create a clear overview for schools. And I know that sounds maybe a bit technical, but at the same time, we see that it is very important for a school to choose a good caterer or a food supplier, because it can be very complex. We know that schools have many responsibilities, and so we as a city, we want to support them by making the choice easier, more transparent, more sustainable. So we will give them the open call, all the caterers who answer to all those different arguments, and so they can easily make a connection with them. That is one concrete action. Another next step is to further develop the automatic price reduction for the vulnerable families, as I said before, because we really want to support the reach of families but we want to do it without the stigma and especially without unnecessary administration. Accessibility, it is not only about the price, but it's also how easily and how dignified people can access support. So that will be a second step. And thirdly, and I heard that also in the presentations of the others, is that we want to keep connecting healthy food at school to the broader educational approach, because a healthy meal, of course, it is important, but food at school is also about learning, it's about habits, it's about culture, it's about climate, community. We want children to discover new tastes, eat together, learn where food comes from. We want to build habits that they can carry with them for the rest of their lives. So we also see that as a responsibility from the school. So three, I think, very concrete actions that will be our next steps for the future.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Vadera. Thank you. Councillor Crabolu, I see that you have the microphone, so tell us, what do you plan to do in Nuoro?
Io vorrei partire da... Funziona? Sì, adesso sì. Grazie. Vorrei partire da una piccola riflessione per condividere con voi quelli che sono poi i progetti, diciamo, che Nuoro ha intenzione di portare avanti. Nuoro è stata individuata come uno dei casi europei del progetto SchoolFood4Change per l'analisi SROI e questo ovviamente ci rende particolarmente onorati. Da cui è emerso da questa analisi che praticamente si può superare una visione della sostenibilità come semplice costo aggiuntivo, cioè si dimostra da questa analisi che investire nelle mense scolastiche più sostenibili genera anche un ritorno concreto per la collettività. Faccio un esempio dal punto di vista numerico. Per ogni euro aggiuntivo investito si producono almeno 2 euro di benefici collettivi. Questo ha un valore politico e comunque concreto molto forte, perché misura il valore pubblico delle politiche alimentari scolastiche. Perché vi dico questo? Perché Nuoro è stata riconosciuta già una realtà con degli standard elevati e questo però dimostra che Il risultato che poi è stato ottenuto attraverso la partecipazione a questo progetto non deriva dall'introduzione da zero di pratiche sostenibili, quindi dalla capacità di un'amministrazione anche di migliorare ulteriormente un sistema già avanzato e già avviato. Questo si collega a quelli che sono ovviamente i nostri intenti per il futuro, perché noi ovviamente ci prefiggiamo di andare oltre quello che è il progetto SchoolFood4Change, quindi consolidare ovviamente il modello che abbiamo iniziato e cercato di curare in questi anni oltre la fine del progetto, estendere queste buone pratiche a tutte le scuole cittadine e rafforzare ancora di più il rapporto con i produttori locali, appunto, come dicevamo prima, per rinforzare filiere e produzioni tradizionali e territoriali e introdurre anche sistemi permanenti di monitoraggio dell'impatto ambientale e sociale, nonché cercare, è ambizioso, ma se non si prova non si riesce, far sì che Nuoro diventi un modello replicabile per altri comuni della Sardegna e delle aree interne.
Thank you. So, President Peiro, what will the next steps be for you in Dordogne?
Bien, pour nous ce que nous souhaitons dans les mois et dans les années à venir, c'est élargir encore notre expérience. D'abord, on veut terminer d'ici la fin de l'année 2027 le travail dans les 35 collèges de la Dordogne. Autrement dit, tous les collèges de la Dordogne seront dans la même expérience, 100% bio, 100% local, 100% fait maison. Dans le même temps, on a aujourd'hui des formateurs qui aident les petites communes. On a 200 petites écoles dans le département, les petites communes à s'engager sur le même chemin. Et depuis quelques mois, nous avons, avec la Chambre d'agriculture, décidé d'essayer de pénétrer d'autres marchés. C'est le marché des établissements médico-sociaux, des maisons de retraite et des hôpitaux. On est très, très attaché à ce programme. Pour nous, ça a été dit, c'est un vrai programme politique, puisqu'on arrive à allier à la fois le social, la santé, la solidarité, l'économie, la protection de l'environnement et de la planète. Et donc, on y est très attaché. On considère, nous, que c'est quelque chose d'essentiel, parce qu'en transformant l'alimentation, notre alimentation, qui est nécessaire à la vie, hein, on mange 3 fois par jour, ou 2 fois, ou 3 fois, d'autres 5 fois. Bon. Mais on mange sans arrêt, et à travers l'alimentation, on est persuadé qu'en transformant l'alimentation, c'est un peu le monde qu'on peut transformer, on peut améliorer le monde. Voilà pourquoi on continuera toujours à travailler dans le même sens. Et on est très heureux d'avoir participé au programme SchoolFood4Change, parce qu'on se rend compte que si l'on travaille au niveau de l'Europe, on pourra conforter aussi la culture européenne. Parce que dans tous les pays européens, ce n'est pas le cas sur tous les autres continents. Il y a une culture à travers la cuisine. C'est vrai en Italie, c'est vrai en France, c'est vrai en Espagne, c'est vrai dans tous les pays, dans les pays européens. Donc c'est aussi à la fois la culture et l'unité de l'Europe qu'on est en train de défendre.
Yeah, What's great with instant translation is that I get twice applause. The next steps are really clear. It's finishing the program. We have this transition for 100% organic, local, homemade, and seasonal meals in all of our middle schools. Right now, we have 27 out of 35 which already transitioned. But we don't want to stop there. The point is that we want all of our primary school also to go into this program. And then we started some discussions with the Chamber of Agriculture of the Dordogne, also to extend this program to social and healthcare institutions and also hospitals, because it's a program that we are really attached to, because it concerns food, and food is essential to life. And we are deeply convinced that by changing food habits and by changing food, we can also transform the world. And the president was also saying that is really glad that we've been able and invited to participate to the School Food for Change program, because it brings European countries and cities from all over Europe together, and it also highlights the culture, the European culture around food habits and about eating. And that also strengthens the unity of Europe, and that's very important for him.
Thank you very much. So, as we have heard, the Food School for Change project sets out a shared vision, which each community can then pursue in its own way, each finding its own recipe through commitment, through passion, and through creativity. And most important, delivering tangible benefits to the community that they serve. So, we are at the end of this session. Thank you to all our speakers. It's now time for the coffee break, and the conference will resume at 5:30 p.m. Ho tagliato tutto. Merci beaucoup. C'est très intéressant ce que vous faites.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat.
Adesso sopra, sì, sono voluto accederli. Sono voluto accederli. Okay. No, no, ok. Sono accesi? Sì, sì, andiamo.
Please take your seat. Thank you. There are still a few seats in front that are free. Very welcome, benvenuti, to this final session of the triple School Food for Change firework. I hope you're still with us, not too tired, had some refreshments. Outside it's hot, but here it's even hotter. The aim of this session is to discuss and explore how school food and food education can be anchored in a global, European, national and local policy making and framing. So how can we move from recognizing the multiple benefits of school food and food education? You remember small plate, big impact. How can we move from recognizing these benefits and the social, economic, and environmental return on investment? How can we move from this recognition to systemic, concrete implementation? In short, how can we move on from here? School Food for Change, also thanks to all of you, many local governments, showed a high impact. More than 1 million children were positively impacted through food procurement, tenders, through a whole school food approach, engaging farmers, looking at food education, at the environment around schools, but also looking at the kitchen staff, the chefs, and the menus. Now I would like to call for this panel the panelists on the floor, but before, maybe two interesting announcements, so listen carefully. We don't have so much time. It's 37. We have around 45 minutes, and I don't want to carry on because then you are tired and we are in Rome. There's the dinner or the aperitivo. I grew up close to the Swiss mountains, and my time management will be as merciless as a Swiss cuckoo clock. And if you be attentive. At the end, we have a few questions, and there is the possibility to win presents. I don't say more, no spoiler, but now I would like to call on the floor. Well, now, since I see you, Corinna Hawkes, the first one, please come up on the floor. Corinna Hawkes is the director of the Division of Agri-Food Systems and Food Security of the FAO. Then Marta Bonafoni from the Lazio region. Hello. Welcome. Andrea Magarini, Director of Food Policy from the Città di Milano. He's online, hopefully. Yes? Thumbs up. Then Ines Jordana. She's also online from the Directorate General for Agriculture and Rural Development, in short, DG Agri, basically the department in the European Commission which takes care of food and agriculture. Very welcome. Ines is also online. Mara Kosu could not come. And then there is Professor Kevin Morgan, Professor of Governance and Development from the Cardiff University. He's also online. Very welcome to all. And there's the member of the European Parliament, Cristina Guardo. Please take the floor. Sorry, we were not good with gender balance, it's only women. No, it's very good to have you here. And I would like to start with you, Cristina Guarda. Because you, Cristina, you're a member of the European Parliament. You used to be an active farmer. You're a mother of a small child. And you're the shadow rapporteur of the EU school scheme. So basically you have all the ingredients for a food system transformation in you. No, but it's really good to have you here. And talking about the EU school scheme, just for the ones that don't know it, in DG Agriculture, the EU school scheme is a scheme to support agricultural products like the provision of fruits, vegetable, milk, and food education in schools. And my question is to you, in SchoolFood4Change, we did several sessions. Also, you were at one of them, for instance, in Strasbourg at the Parliament, with several members of the European Parliament, like, for instance, yes, Cristina Guarda was there, but also Nardella, Dorfmann, from different political parties, and also 2 commissioners, and they all fully supported what we are doing. But still, we hear then that the EU school scheme might not even be part of this multi-financial framework. What is it? The multi-financial framework is basically the money allocation for the time after 2027. So it's really a lot of money, and the question is, where does it go to? So my question is to you, knowing that school food and food education has so much impact and return in investment, what do you see as the main challenges also in the European Parliament, why policymakers still struggle to fully go for it and invest it and support it also financially?
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, for inviting me, and thank you a lot for sharing this path through the conscious about our responsibility that is ethical, civic, and also political responsibility for the future and the health of future children in Europe and in our own places. So I really appreciate this, and I really love to share the path with you and with your also knowledge that you are sharing in the Parliament so clearly. And secondly, I want to say I'm totally sorry. I will need to go away in 20 minutes because I have a train to take, and tomorrow morning I have to take the plane to go to Brussels again with my baby. So yes, it's quite complicated, and I need to take my time in order to arrive home safe and sound and prepare also my baggage and so on. So thank you for understanding this, difficult organization. The question is really interesting because now we are in the middle of big changes, not only in the CAP reform, but also in the budget reform. And the starting point is really, really problematic because there is no longer dedicated budget line, and everything will depend on member states within the big national regional plans that I think that you heard about it all of you, this national and regional plans pot, where everything is inside, including the problematic issue of co-financing. And this has been flagged as a concern by everyone that is involved in this discussion, in the discussion of this file. That said, in the Agriculture Committee, there is a broad consensus about that every euro spent on children is also a euro that is invested and needs to go to farmers. And the support is widespread across every party, every group of this committee, but disagreements emerge when it comes to decide where exactly put the funds. I would like to see, for example, the school scheme expand its scope, for example, on plant-based alternatives and so on, also in order to create new market, new chain from the farmer to the public procurement, and then, yes, the type of projects to the market. And while fully respecting obviously nutritional criteria and grounded in recommendation for healthy and sustainable diets like Eat Lancet rather than program tradition. But the scheme should also be better integrated into regional and local strategy where procurement is decided and canteens are managed. And this is where a real food strategy can take shape.
Thank you. Let me then pose you just a second question, and then we can let you leave. I don't want to get you stressed, especially with this hot weather.
No worries.
Running through the city. I mean, the organization of this great visionary Carlo Petrini, who unfortunately tragically passed away, had an initiative on food education in school, but also colleagues of yours, like the one from my region, Herbert Dorfmann, often advocate for the importance of food education. But how important and feasible do you see food education, like cooking as a life skill, in school? And how could we better advocate for it in conjunction with school meals?
I think there is a lot of potential also not only in delivering good food and sharing knowledge about clear dietary framework for health and sustainable diets, but there is a lot of potential also in working on food preparation, on training and education for canteen staffing, and including also families and also young boys and girls too. It is obviously critical to ensure these programs reach all children in all regions, and today, for example, this is not the case, and so we need to find ways in order not to let these type of measures be only for some elected, but also for every child that can be involved in it. Where regions are poorer, for example, childhood obesity tends to be higher, and this is not a blame or stigma that I want to put on the table, not at all, but it's a public issue that creates also public investment for the future. And for this reason, I feel that there is a lot to do, and we are working in measures and amendments in the school scheme and the CMO file in order to guarantee this access to health, quality food, including food education, that is obviously a right for everyone and needs to be supported, because we can create incredible strategies, but if we don't have money in order to put it on the table and to ensure also in the poorer regions to be able to produce this type of changes, obviously we are letting people behind, and we need to be active in order to guarantee to everyone this type of access.
Well, thank you so much, Cristina Guarda. Thank you for making it to the Forum Compraverde, and we certainly will continue the discussion with you in the European Parliament and with your colleagues also from different political parties, and thank you for supporting this cause strongly.
Thank you very much, and I'm really so sorry that I need to run away, but I wanted to be here in order to guarantee the support and the clear necessity to create strategies within parties, within groups, and to deliver something that it's not only linked to the capacity of national governments to put money on this type of project. It needs to be a must. Thank you.
Thank you, grazie mille. Buon rientro. Marta Bonafoni. A partire dalla mensa scolastica, come può salire nella visione e scendere nelle pratiche la transizione ecologica?
Grazie, ringrazio anch'io il forum davvero di questa occasione dove provo ad indossare questo strano abito, no? Rispetto anche al panel che stiamo affrontando insieme, che è a metà strada fra il livello nazionale, sopra le nostre teste, e il livello invece locale, come fino a poco fa è stato discusso dalle città, che invece è sotto, no? L'ente regionale. E provo a farlo a partire proprio dal progetto che voi qui state rappresentando, presentando con questi numeri straordinariamente importanti rispetto all'impatto che possono avere come bussola di quello che una governance pubblica, la programmazione pubblica può avere da qui in avanti, avendo scelto la mensa scolastica come focus, come civetta della transizione ecologica. Perché credo che nel momento in cui la transizione ecologica, il Green Deal, il Farm to Fork, tutto ciò che sta intorno e dentro la grande sfida che non possiamo rimandare neanche di un secondo della lotta al cambiamento climatico, nel momento in cui tutto questo è sotto attacco da parte della propaganda, provare a stare invece dentro un luogo prossimo, concreto, familiare, che chiunque abbia figli, nipoti, amici con figli o nipoti può visualizzare davanti a sé, a partire dal cibo o dalla mancanza di cibo, no? In questa fase di disuguaglianze che crescono anche in queste latitudini, penso sia una chiave di volta delle politiche e della politica. E in questo senso sopra e sotto, perché lo è nella visione. Si tiene insieme la transizione ecologica, il One Health, la salute intesa non come cura della malattia, ma come ben essere, come ben vivere. Si tiene insieme il territorio e quindi la sfida economica e di sopravvivenza in alcuni casi, oppure di fecondità di un'agricoltura che deve andare a braccetto con l'ecologia e con l'ambientalismo e non può esserle nemica. E si tiene insieme una nuova visione, io credo, di organizzazione dello Stato, perché mi pare che quello che voi ci chiamate a fare, e da questo punto di vista le regioni possono fare molto, in Italia sono le programmatrici dei fondi europei, che possono essere orientati pro o contro la transizione, pro o contro la sostenibilità del cibo, credo abbia una funzione fondamentale. Per farlo però bisogna mettere al centro, e voi lo avete fatto con questo progetto, una parola che forse dal punto di vista delle regioni è anche una parola stanca, che è quella della formazione. Si devono formare i cuochi e le cuoche, come avete fatto voi con il progetto, ma si devono formare gli uffici, la PA, che fa gli appalti, si devono formare i politici e le politiche che quegli appalti li scrivono in norma per poi realizzarli, si deve, io credo, riorganizzare anche la macchina Stato. Allora, ad esempio, in questa sfida che tutto deve tenere insieme della transizione ecologica e della lotta alle disuguaglianze, no? La sostenibilità della transizione, la desiderabilità della transizione, provare ad immaginare dei luoghi della governance sempre più partecipati, con uno scambio con la cittadinanza fitto e sempre più anche intersezionali, multifattoriali, dove accanto alla povertà sociale si tiene la povertà energetica, si tiene la povertà alimentare e dove la scuola, che dovrebbe raggiungere tutte e tutti, diventa il luogo della restituzione di tutto questo, sia una chiave di volta anche per chi in una regione deve provare ad orientare, perché li riceve dall'alto e perché li redistribuisce in basso, i propri fondi.
Grazie. Now we move to Milano, to Andrea Magarini, who is the director of the Food Policy Department. Ciao Andrea. You have been a very strong partner in School Food for Change. You and your team, Cristina Scosani is here live. You couldn't come, but could you provide a few concrete examples of the high impact created through the triple school food approach in your city that you are particularly fond of? Just two examples, and please, also for the following speakers, keep it short and sharp and smart.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. It's a really good pleasure being with all of you, unfortunately online. But yeah, so we think that School Food for Change...
We don't hear...
Can you hear me? Yeah, Peter as well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So again, thank you for inviting me in this panel. School Food for Change was truly a successful project for the city of Milan because School Food for Change is supporting us to change our mindset on food education and to innovate a lot our mindset of food education. And as Peter mentioned a few minutes ago, referring also to Carlo Petrini, food education needs to help to build a new paradigm. And together, through School Food for Change, we have created new narratives, practical tools, evidence, and concrete experiment to support this approach. I'm very proud, and my favorite tools for School Food for Change is the handbook for Build the Menu, because through this menu, we train all of our chefs, and also the Councillor Bonafoni mentioned, the training of the chefs is a key element for having them on board. Not only chefs, of course, we need to include in our mindset many other partners. And so I think that, again, the main tools that we were able to exploit in our local school meal service is a new shape of food environment and food education for our schools. And it means not only focus our attention on the recipes, but also try to expand our competencies of food preferences, active learning, so on and so forth. And it's also a new paradigm to engage teachers, because of course chefs are the key actors on preparing food, but teachers are eating together with the children. And so having new element for engaging them in this paradigm at the end was very successful. And now we want to scale up all the elements that School Food provide to us in our main application of school meals in Milan.
Thank you, Andrea. We are happy to scale up together with you. And from Milano, we move back to Rome. Here next to me, Corinna. You at the FAO just published a report, Transforming Food and Agriculture Through School Food through a Systems Approach. Sorry. So I read it again, just to keep it correct. Transforming Food and Agriculture Through a Systems Approach. And it's true, in School Food for Change, we also tried a systemic approach. So on one hand, we looked at the food procurement, the tenders, but we also developed a whole and redefined the whole model on whole school food approach, integrating food education, farming, and waste reduction with healthier school meals. So what do you think, how can such a holistic approach, focusing on schools, act as a catalyst to change not just the schools, but also the broader local community's food culture?
Thanks, Peter, and thanks very much for the invitation, and good to be here. Yeah, this is the report that Peter refers to, which is a normative reference guide to what a systems approach involves in practice in food and agriculture. And we actually feature school meals as an example in the report, as a conceptual example. But that's based on the reality that this movement has happened, that school meals are no longer just seen as school meals for kids, though that's obviously the main goal, but in this broader sense of achieving climate outcomes, farming outcomes, equity, gender outcomes. And we see these globally. I mean, you're talking about the European experience, but in much of the world, gender outcomes are particularly important in school meals because it means that girls are more likely to go to school if there's a meal that's provided. I mean, there's different contexts, but this is a global movement towards seeing schools as a system in and of itself. But the question that you had is about how does that affect the bigger system? And to do that, you need to put on your systems thinking mindset. Andrea just mentioned about a mindset shift and recalling that a school food school meal system is a system in and of itself. It's a subsystem of the larger food system. And that means that it is inherently connected to the other parts of the system. So that means is that if you, through the school meals, encourage kids to develop preferences for good, healthy, nutritious meals, they take that home to their families because that's the connection, the relationship that they have. And then their families, and then start to demand healthier food at home, then their families might start to demand that healthier food from the market. And then that leads to transitions in the way that the market operates. If you link the school food, the school meal to farmers, that might de-risk by creating structured demand for farmers. It de-risks their capacity to invest in the infrastructure that is needed for local markets. So that means that they then develop the infrastructure that they can then provide for wholesale markets. So it's not just about farmers serving the school, but it's increasing their infrastructural capacity to serve their local markets. So then you start to see a change in the way that local markets operate. Just say if you need to implement new food safety standards in order to make sure that procurement is right into schools, then you start to build up the national food control system for food safety. So by positioning school food in the context of the broader system, you begin to see how it actually begins to transform the broader system. The issue is that nobody tracks it, nobody looks at that, nobody measures that. And what I would want to see is that school meals are seen as a strategic entry point. There are others into changing food systems more broadly, which I think would further the support for school meals as an intervention.
Thanks, Corina. Let's move up to Brussels, to Ines Jordana from DG Agri. Ines, your department faces two big problems, being responsible for food and agriculture. On one hand, small farmers are disappearing rapidly. In 20 years, 40% of small farms disappeared in Europe. And on the other hand, there is the generational gap, meaning nowadays the average age of a farmer in the EU is 60, 57, 58. I heard in Portugal even 65. So who produces our food in the future? And the European Commission presented last year the vision for the future of agriculture and food with some ideas regarding school food procurement. And here comes my question. What is your view on public procurement as a tool which, on one hand, could benefit directly and unbureaucratically smallholder farmers, and which, on the other hand, could also use food education to make farmer jobs more attractive?
Thank you, Peter, and good afternoon to everyone. If we only had two problems, as you mentioned in your introduction of the question, we are facing many challenges as a European Commission currently, and particularly with DG Agri, since I joined a couple of years ago. We've been working very hard in trying to engage in the revision of the public procurement directives, which is still ongoing, and try to make the case for the importance that, well, food procurement differs from other sectors, and other categories are seen by colleagues in other DGs. I mean, we have to move from this idea that food is like any other economic transaction. We keep on explaining that there is this intrinsic link between production and consumption, that also the base of producing the food in a specific local category and circumstances and environment, and linked to these public services makes it such a strategic tool to better be used and to really change things as they currently are working or not working. I can feel that in the room there will be a lot of mind-like people, and the energy will be high to keep on working on this. I have to say that from my perspective, I'm trying to move on this dossier. All that you're doing is necessary and beyond. We are still struggling, even as a DG, to make the case, to even try and copy for the future public procurement directive what is already recognized in the proposal for the school scheme. We were hearing before that it might be insufficient, the references that there are to social or health considerations. It would still go farther in the criteria. But it's more that for the moment we are seeing colleagues in other DGs ready to recognize for food. So in this, you have an ally here in DG Agri. Our department is closely working on this, and we see absolutely a priority to really live up to the expectations that we created with the 2 lines, really, not much more, that is being kept in the vision for food and agriculture regarding food. Which is food public procurement. So we promised a legal proposal to make the most of this tool, and we are working to get it.
Thank you, Ines. Much appreciated. Now we move to Cardiff University, to Professor Kevin Morgan. Kevin, you're Professor of Governance and Development at the Cardiff University. You spent many years researching the power of school food procurement. And you even published a book about your experience and findings last year. So, being here with the whole SchoolFood4Change rocking community, do you feel we are progressing on the matter? If yes, could you please provide some inspiring example? Or if not, what are the reasons for the lack of progress?
Thanks, Peter. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the answer is yes and no. Yes, we've made a lot of progress in our knowledge base, in trying to understand.
Actually, we don't hear you that well, sorry. Or do you hear?
Is that better?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, there's a lot of echo in the room. The answer is yes, in terms of our knowledge base. Thanks to projects like your own project, Peter, SchoolFood4Change has helped us to understand what a healthy school food system looks like. But in practice, we've not made the progress we should have made. And the reason is simple. Good practice has been a bad traveler, and we need to spread good practice better. I don't know if you can hear that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it was okay, but it could have been better with the headphones. Maybe there is an issue. I hope the others understood. Then I would like to ask, thank you so far, Professor Kevin Morgan. Then I have a question for you, Corinna, about School foods, I mean, you're working for FAO, your members are national governments. In your experience globally, how can national governments successfully support school meal programs that reshape local economies, food environments, and well-being of children? This morning at FAO, there is the Rome Nutrition Week going on, or has been going on. We heard the example of Brazil and the feeding cities, Alimenta Cidades. What would be your recommendations if you had here ambassadors representing national governments from around the world interested in supporting school meals?
Well, it's about working between the nation and the local. And in many countries, national governments don't necessarily empower their local governments very well. You work for an organization that knows this full well, or doesn't provide an enabling environment in which they can do their work. But also, it depends on the country. In some countries, school meals are under the jurisdiction of local authorities or urban authorities, municipalities. In some cases, they're under the jurisdiction of the national government. And so what's key is that the relationship is formed so that the roles and responsibilities between national and local are clear, and that they're adding up to the provision of that program. But it all depends on the context, depending on what the roles and responsibilities are. So what I would tell the ambassadors, if they were in the room, or the people they report to back in their capitals, is, do you even know what's going on at the local level on school meals? Because I'm not convinced they would necessarily. Brazil is an exceptional circumstance where when the politics line up, because when the politics don't, it doesn't work, but when the politics line up, it means they have a very, very good, strong relationship between nation and municipal, all the way through regional and so on. They've got a very clear governance structure that sets that up. But that often doesn't work. So I couldn't say just do what Brazil has done, which is to set up a national program that supports cities. Because if you haven't got the governance in place, it doesn't work. So the first question is, do you know what's going on? And have you got a governance structure that enables you to support those cities? And if they're active in doing in the school meals, then what support do they need from the national governments? So it's about starting that conversation and creating awareness. But you have to be aware that municipalities are often of a different political stripe to the national government. And so sometimes it's best not to go to the national government if they're not supportive of the school meals. And instead, you want to start a network of people working at the local level within the country. And that actually might be more powerful.
Thanks, Corinna. Time is almost up, so we do a quick round and with all the speakers, but really keep it short, because in School4Change, 2 years back, we had a petition, for calling for a healthy school meal and a food education for every child in every school. And more than 110,000 Europeans signed it and said, yes, that would be a good idea. So in your opinion, what would be your single idea? Because also here, School4Change is coming to an end. It's a typical EU project, and there is a lot of interest, there is a lot of impact, and we wonder how we can carry on the legacy, and spread it further. Since it works, it has so much return, on what is being invested here in children, in farmers, in health, and so on. So the final message from you, what would be your idea, your recommendation to us, how to make sure that indeed school food and food education will be a reality for every child in every school in Europe? I start with you, Marta, please.
Thank you. Io credo sia importantissimo raccogliere il senso della petizione. Abbiamo visto durante il Covid cosa abbia significato per tanti bambini non andare a scuola, coincideva con il non mangiare. Quindi penso che oggi una cosa che noi potremmo fare, e su questo mi fermo, sia immaginare una scuola che rivede anche i suoi programmi e che inserisca l'ora di educazione alimentare alla sostenibilità, al cibo sano, eccetera, eccetera, dentro il curriculum scolastico, esattamente come l'educazione all'affettività. Questa cosa lo diceva anche Carlo Petrini, che veniva citato prima da Milano. Ecco, penso che questo sia un obiettivo che possiamo e dobbiamo darci.
Grazie. Andrea Magarini, What would be your recommendation?
Yeah, so my recommendation is to following working on school meals at different scale in the canteens at European level, at global level, so on and so forth. But as already Corina mentioned, spend times in the canteens if we have a chance. So in my activities, I spend many times in the canteens, eating with the children, speak with them, and try also to taking care of their space and their time of the meals. And this is not only to be pragmatic, but because of course we spend many times in front of our laptop or in a meeting or in a web call or reviewing documents. But if we have time to enter in a canteens and spend 30 minutes eating with them at the end, change completely our mission. Because when we are together with them, it change really our mission for school meals. Thanks again.
On to you, Ines.
Andrea gave me a good idea of having maybe some colleagues in the commission come and join some meals, and maybe they will want to work and fix this and give a proper legislation framework, so it actually works for our children and for the future. But well, when I hear what would we advocate, or what would I advocate for? It's not my place anymore, unfortunately. But I do miss the farm to fork strategy. I think, I mean, Corina there in the room, she keeps on mentioning the food systems approach. I think it is important to hold on to that term and to the coherence request when it comes to food. I think that's very important, to not fall in despair and dismantle all the work that has been done in the last few years. And as the co-decision goes in policy making, when you see the proposal for the revision of the directive on public procurement, they're continue doing what you're doing. The MEPs, as we heard as well today, they're quite aligned in wanting this to work and the different files. So reach out to your MEPs at member state level, do as much advocacy as you can. Because, you know, some amendments in the right place can really make a difference. So hopefully we will work with society on this in the stages to come. And thank you for having us and for the discussion today.
Peter, can you hear me?
It's a bit
Can you hear me now? Peter? Yeah. The most important issue for school food transformation, in my view, is scaling, so that we can scale good local practice and spread it so it becomes the national norm. So we can't treat procurement on its own. Procurement needs to be integrated with policies to support production and consumption. As Karina said, the food system approach from farm to fork, that's how you change systems, not by focusing just on procurement. And that's why your project, SchoolFood4Change, has been so important in scaling, identifying replication to cities as well as partner cities. And that's why I hope that the project can be funded for a longer period of time to help the system to scale good practice. Thank you, Peter.
Last word to you.
I would say don't squander the fact that you had so many people sign that petition. I mean, it's a sign of how many people support school meals. And you'll just add, if you could bear with me for a minute, and talking about scaling good practice, when I was living in Brazil and studying, I studied the school meal program in Brazil, and I interviewed a woman from the Women Farmers Peasant Association in a little room in Brasilia. And I always remember, this is many years ago, her saying to me, like, who can disagree? You know, you put a smile on people's faces, they have a meal in front of them. Who can say no to a good meal? And what she was referring to was the incredible coalition that was built in Brazil of people in support of school meals and how they linked to family farming. And they were politically incredibly smart in building that coalition. And it just built and built and built. And I studied the whole process. And what I learned from that is that you've got the support, everybody wants them, just getting that coalition right to push, 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 and be really, really smart about it, the way the Brazilians were. So that's my advice.
Thanks, Corinna. Well, now as promised, there is gifts time. It's not Christmas, but we have gifts. I would like to call the SchoolFood4Change cheerleaders here on stage. So this is more fun, and the gift is a magic apron. Really, even if you have some recipes that you don't really manage to cook well, you put it on and magically it just flows, and everyone will be impressed. I will pose some questions, and I will see who raises the hand gets one. So the first question is, who of you went to school also long over lunch, but did never get a school meal at school? Everyone? So here's the gentleman in the back, because this is a consolation prize. So 2 people net, that's great, so all of you got school meals. And who got school meals, but thought all the time, oh, they were really bad, and you never liked them? Oh my God, so gee, okay, here. So we got to change that. Who of you says, look, I can cook well, I could cook for a school class of 20 children, no problem? Oh my God, look at this. Then who, thinking about urban food systems, who went to do his or her food shopping at the local food markets in the past 3 days? Well done. Do we still have aprons? Who of you thinks it would actually be a very good idea? You know, we talked about food education in schools, and it's true, sometimes we mention it, and then even young people come and say, yeah, cooking is actually a life skill. We should learn it in school. How come we finish school at 18, we don't even know how to cook? Who thinks it would actually be a really good idea that every school has this food education and cooking? Here also in front. Nobody 2 aprons, just one. And who has a thought, okay, I have been silent all day long, I heard a lot, but now I want to tell you something related to this topic, and I have a certain opinion, and I want to say something related to school food or food education or SchoolFood4Change. Well, I think then we close. We still have some aprons, if you would like to. Excuse me? The photo with the aprons. So everyone who does not have an aprons, maybe we stand here with the aprons on, so that we can say in SchoolFood4Change, we really have been cooking some excellent food. Thank you very much. And let's not forget the people online. Thank you for staying with us. And next time we see you, you will also get an apron, hopefully. Okay, take care.